The next step in our submission process is to add our samples. But before we can do this, we have to save all the information we have just entered. To do this, we can click the Save function found on the menu toolbar. And by doing this, the system assigns a project number or a project ID found in the top here. After saving the project, we can start logging samples by using the Log Samples function, also found here on the menu toolbar. At this point, let's have a quick look at the Save and Continue function. This button allows us to save the progress of the project and also prompts the next logical step of the process. At this stage in our project, the Save and Continue button actually acts as the Save function and as the Log Samples function. So if we click Save and Continue, we will be presented with an information dialog box reminding us to add recipients to our report and invoice distribution. We're now brought to the grid sample login page. As previously mentioned, the sample template selected will dictate what fields are provided in this window. If we want to confirm what sample template we have selected, we can find that information at the top of the Virtuallabplus window. We can set our sample number on the top right hand corner, either by using the arrow buttons or simply typing it in. To set the number of samples, click the Set button. Please note though that more samples will take longer to load. We can now start specifying our product information, and there are two ways we can do this. The first way is to set the fields individually, going from left to right, where it gets more specific as we go along. For this example, we'll select cow milk powder, so we'll have to select food and dairy products. For our product matrix, we can select cow milk powder. To clear the fields, simply click the field again and select the blank option right at the very top. The other way to define our product is to search for that product using the Search for Product function. Simply type in this search query and then click OK. We are presented with any matches according to that keyword. Based on the product selected, the fields will then be automatically populated, as you can see here. We can then further edit these fields to be either more specific or less specific with our sample information. So we can select the blank option to clear this field again. If this particular sample template allows for a spec to be selected, which is required if we want to assign spec-specific tests. If we have more than one spec for the product selected, we will be presented with a window to select the spec. Otherwise, the fields will automatically populate with the spec information as soon as we click the Select Spec button, as you can see here. We can now set the client sample name, which is the unique reference name we can assign the samples. So for example, we can call it demo milk powder. Scrolling to the right should reveal more fields, which is available for us to fill in. We can copy the sample information to multiple samples using the Propagate Down button, which will copy information on the populated field down to all empty fields in the same columns. However, if we have samples with different information, then we must specify these before using the propagate down function. To demonstrate this, I'll have to create 10 samples again. And then we'll define the 6th sample as a different product type, for example cow milk, and we will select cow milk. We can now use the propagate down button. Note that samples 1 to 5 share the same information, while 6 to 10 have a different set of information. Once all required sample information has been defined, the samples can now be logged using the Log Samples button found on the menu toolbar. We can now check a sample that we recently added in our Samples tab by clicking the sample ID to view its details.